Yeah, that song happened to be on when I was getting ready to do my recording, and what I'm about to say is so controversial that I'm afraid to say it out loud. I am at a location somewhere near Orange County, and as conservative as Orange County is, I'm not sure that I can say what I'm about to say without triggering someone somewhere. But here it goes. You ready? Donald Trump is not a bigot. I said it. And the reason I thought this song was somewhat, maybe a little bit appropriate was just because of how old it is. It's an old song. I remember it from like my high school years, maybe even before. And we, not just as the Black community, and I know a lot of people think that I'm not a member of the Black community. Yes, I am. I'm fully well aware that I'm Black. There's a backstory behind why I'm near Orange County right now. I'll get to it later. We need to wean ourselves off of that word. I was listening to some kind of news report on the radio, and someone was complaining that the word thug was racist. Come on. Thug actually has a definition. It has a meaning. And a word, we like to believe that a word can become a racist word in one context or another, but words are not really racist. If you look up the definition, it's about the impact of your actions on a group. So it's really difficult for a word itself to be racist. It can be coming from a racist person depending on what their intent is like and what their heart is like. But can we please wean ourselves off of this term? It's a way to demonize and discredit people who may not necessarily fit, and then that diminishes those people who are really truly hateful people that mean you harm. Don't put anyone in the same category. As a group, we don't want to be put in the same category. When someone says, well, you get profiled, you get pulled over because you're part of this group, you get pissed off. You don't like that they're assuming something about you because of something someone else did. So you can't turn around and do it to other people. I mean, you can, but don't do it and expect someone to take you seriously. So back to my trigger phrase. Here's why Donald Trump is not a bigot. He's obnoxious to people of all colors. Protected class should not ever have been intended to mean that you're so protected that no matter how obnoxious you are, no one can ever say anything bad about you. Donald Trump talked about Rosie O'Donnell, who, depending on what mood she's in, is as white as the driven snow. Worse than I have ever heard anybody probably talk about anybody in public, certainly not a public figure, and definitely not a man about a woman. You just don't see that. He doesn't like her. It's clear that he doesn't like her, and he does not spare any language in letting people know that he does not like her. He will do that to you if you are Black and he doesn't like you, if you're Hispanic and he doesn't like you, if you are handicapped and he doesn't like you. He's gonna let it be known that he doesn't like you. People, that's not a bigot. That's not what a bigot is. A bigot is not every time someone attacks a person of color, attacks a person of minority, either with words or anything else, that doesn't necessarily mean they're a bigot. Now, if they only attack people of a certain color, then they might be a bigot. But I mean, I'm feeling like super Jeff Foxworthy right now, because I'm saying that if you you're walking down the street and you're like, let's jump that nigger, you might be a bigot. You might be, even if you're Black. I don't know. You can put that in a category of someone who's going after someone just because of their race. Same thing with the gay community. If you've got someone who is looking at a person and saying, let's jump that person just because they look like they're gay, which is much more difficult to tell than a person's skin color, but I digress. Then you can know that that person is a bigot. And if you're in a situation where you need to figure out what a person's motives are, you can look at their past, you can look at their history, you can look at what they say. But if you look back at Donald Trump, I have never seen a more equal opportunity insulter than our president. He will insult anyone. And if you want to be treated equal, everybody who says they want to be treated equal, that's how you get treated equal. If you suck, then we can say you suck. If you are stupid, we can say you're stupid. If whatever applies, when you can say it, that's when you're equal. So we need to stop calling people bigots every time they insult someone of a particular group, and especially when the insult fits. There are some people who are just assholes. We all know them. I've talked about it before. You have good people and bad people. If someone who happens to be black also happens to be asshole, they should not get a pass just because they're black. If you can't tolerate having your feelings hurt even when you are being an asshole, and that's, by the way, a matter of opinion. We all decide what kind of people we like and we don't like, who we, and that can be in a moment or that can be in general. We decide whether someone does something that we like or don't like, and each individual person has a right to make that determination. You have a right to disagree, but you cannot characterize a person as a bigot just because they happen to criticize or insult someone who's part of a protected class. To me, it's starting to be a liability to be a part of a protected class, because I like my people real, authentic, upfront. I don't really care what they are. If someone has a particular thought about me, I'd rather know than not know. I don't want to be like playing nice with someone who can't stand me because I don't know, and they're going through the motions and they're being fake. I have no desire whatsoever to suppress someone and drive them undercover with their obnoxiousness. I really don't. I understand that there's a decorum. I understand that there is a time and place, and that there are certain disadvantages to not knowing how to behave yourself, whatever that may be according to what you're trying to do. But at the end of the day, if somebody doesn't like me, I would prefer that they don't pretend that they do. And I don't really care whether the reason that they don't like me is because of my color or not. So I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it until people get used to it, so that we can identify who the real bigots are, shame them in society, and stop just picking on everyone that we disagree with. Donald Trump is not a bigot. President Trump, not a bigot. I might just work on, and I'm not a writer, in fact I'm really bad at it, but I might work on a sort of Weird Al Yankovic, sort of Jeff Foxworthy sort of, these are the things that you might do, and if you do them, you might be a bigot. But calling a gang member an animal doesn't qualify. It doesn't qualify. Don't let people tell you what to think. If someone says, I can't stand gang members, don't let someone else tell you that person meant all of a certain group of people by race. Just assume that it meant gang members until they tell you something different. We have a right to do that, and we should be doing that. Otherwise, you're abdicating your basic intelligence, your basic critical thinking skills, your basic ability to determine what is and isn't in a given situation by just covering everything up with a blanket. If you just we know why we don't just like broad brush or throw a blanket over an entire pile of something. It's because you might cover up something valuable. You might miss something. Learn to do the analysis for yourself. And, words don't really matter. They can definitely hurt, but they don't actually have an effect unless you allow them to have an effect. We like to, I hate the term hate speech, because I don't really believe in hate speech. I don't believe that a normal person is driven to behave in a hateful way. I don't care how influential you are. I get that there are some people who think that's okay, but we ought to be encouraging people that they are not that weak. You're stronger than that. Everybody's not going to do it, but there are some people, anyone who's been around someone who is suffering from a mental illness, you know that that person could potentially think that the television is telling them to go kill someone when there's nothing on the screen. So A person who's not stable will hear evil and hear the things that they want to hear, regardless of whether anyone actually said it. Don't let someone manipulate your brain like it's not all there. Listen to what people say and then accept what they say and look at their actions. Look at whether or not they're doing things to hurt you as a group. I heard, I think it was one of the old talk shows, there was a woman and one of her kids had married someone that was black. And this woman, she did not even want to have anything to do with her grandchildren. I don't have any grandchildren yet, but I cannot wait. And there is nothing or no one who is going to keep me away from my grandchildren. I'm sure that anyone out there who has them, you feel the same way. Nothing's going to keep you away. You don't care what they're mixed with. You don't care if they suffer from retardation or they're handicapped or, they've got some other problem or they're sick. They're your grandchildren. You love them and you want to be around them in almost all cases, no matter what. This woman didn't even want to meet them, didn't want to have anything to do with them. Really didn't want to have much to do with her kid because that kid married someone who was from a race that she didn't like. That's what a bigot is. Remember it. Analyze based on it. If you don't want to meet your own grandchildren because they're mixed race and mixed with a race that you don't like, you might be a bigot. But not just because you insulted someone who's part of a group. When you insult anybody, a part of any group, including your own, that you don't like. Let's define terms as they are, and let's us decide based on results, based on outcomes of a person's behavior, what they are, not what someone else told you that what they said meant. I hope that at least someone will take into consideration what I've said instead of just getting so triggered by the fact that I'm saying our president is not a bigot, which is just my opinion, by the way. But it is based on facts and evidence and the fact that black unemployment is lower than it's been since it's been recorded. And I don't hear anyone disputing that, even people who disagree with him. So I look forward to your comments, your feedback. I'd like to hear what you have to say. So let me know. Bye.